Does Iraq's president have to go? Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Bartiromo. Welcome to Sunday Morning Futures. Growing calls for Nouri al-Maliki to step down so that a new inclusive government might be formed before Iraq completely breaks apart. A member of the House Select Committee on Intelligence is here with us on what America should and should not do to avoid another quagmire. Lawmakers accuse the IRS commissioner of lying about missing emails. The chair of the House Ways and Means Oversight Subcommittee joins us live on how to recover those hard drives that the taxman claims may be gone for good. Plus, new GDP numbers due out this week to give a report card on the economy, one industry that's been thriving all along, technology. The co-founder of PayPal will talk jobs, the markets, immigration, and a lot more as we look ahead on Sunday Morning Futures. Good morning. With more and more of Iraq falling under the sway of Sunni militants, what can the U.S. do to stop the country from completely sliding into chaos? Congressman Peter King is a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and the former chairman of the House Committee on Homeland Security. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much.
So I guess the question is, at this moment, does Maliki have to go?
Yes, I do believe Maliki has to go, but I don't know if we have time to wait for Maliki to go, because by then it may be too late. It is absolutely essential that we stop ISIS from gaining this foothold in Iraq and also Syria. So I believe that it's important that we do make airstrikes, that the special operators that are on the ground, I would hope they're out trying to be able to call in attacks to give us the intelligence as to where to attack. Maliki is a bad guy. There's no doubt about it. But for us to stand back and wait for Maliki to go before we take any action, it could be too late. I think we should be doing both, taking military action in the form of airstrikes, and then also using whatever leverage and diplomatic pressure we have to push Maliki out.
And Congressman, what would you like to see done? I mean, last week it seemed that the president was shying away from airstrikes.
Well, first of all, I wish the president would stop saying what he would not do. And one of the reasons we're in the position we are right now is because the president did not get the status of forces agreement with Iraq. By pulling all of our troops out, we lost much of the leverage we had, and we allowed Maliki to fall into the sway of Iran. Also, by not taking significant action in Syria, we've allowed ISIS to build up the space. The border is now porous between Syria and Iraq, and they're going back and forth. And so this isn't just Iraq, it's Iraq and Syria, and it represents a threat to the United States. I would remind people that ISIS 3 years ago attempted to attack Fort Knox in Kentucky. That was before they had anywhere near the power they have today. So I think the president, we should find ways to use air power that works. And I think that these special forces that are on the ground, I would hope that the main purpose is for them to get intelligence as to where we can attack. And that's not going to be enough to win, but that could be enough to blunt the ISIS offensive and give the Iraqi army the chance to regroup, and also at the same time be bringing in a new unity government which would work with the Shiites, the Sunnis, and the Kurds.
Congressman, what are the implications of all of this accelerated fighting to the U.S.?
This is a direct threat to the United States. This would set up an Islamist caliphate in the Middle East. It would be a privileged sanctuary from which they could launch attacks against the United States. It also would be a direct threat to Jordan, a direct threat to Israel, a direct threat to all of our vital interests in the Middle East. This is an offshoot of al-Qaeda, which is the worst of the worst. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is deadly, and it's so bad that al-Qaeda has actually pushed them aside. So this is they are like the spear point for the al-Qaeda movement, and this is a direct threat to the United States, and also as far as oil supply, as far as boosting up Iran as it would basically make al-Qaeda and Iran the two powers in the Middle East. And neither one of them is in any way helpful to the United States. They're both extremely dangerous to us.
Well, it does feel like we're making one bad policy decision after the next in regards to foreign policy.
We are, and I think, again, I hate to sound partisan, this is a lack of leadership. When the president drew the red line in Syria and then allowed the Russians to come in, and we basically took no action at all. Now, I know people like, for instance, Rand Paul say that the problem is because of the U.S. in Iraq and Syria. No, the opposite. The problem is we pulled out of Iraq and we did nothing in Syria, and that's why ISIS has the power that it has today. And I'm not worried about ICBMs coming from this new caliphate. What I am worried about is a sanctuary being set up where they can could have training and be able to go to Europe and to the United States, because many of these Syrian fighters who are part of ISIS are from the United States and from Europe, and they can come back here and kill us.
Congressman, real quick, let me move on to Katala, one of the suspected ringleaders of the assault on our embassy in Benghazi. What is the status of him right now? Is he still on a military ship being questioned? Should the interrogation happen at Guantanamo Bay?
Well, ideally, I would want it to happen in Guantanamo, but it's not going to happen there. The president doesn't want to do that. So long as he's on that ship, and they should keep him on the ship as long as they have to, they should interrogate him. I'm not worried about Miranda warnings, because all that would mean is that they couldn't use that evidence against him in a trial. He's going to be convicted no matter what. I want to get the intelligence out of him to find out who is active in the al-Qaeda movement in Libya, how Benghazi came about, and also what plans they have for the future. Intelligence is the key thing here, not a criminal conviction.